And you already know what the vibes is. Always emotion, never stagnant, constantly growing, always aim high for your goals to transcend time until the day that you die. In Jesus' name we rise and realize that God is with us to change lives, man. What are y'all doing today? I'm dropping a lot of videos today. I think I'm going to drop all of these in one day, but, you know, they'll find the people that need to see it when they need to see it. However, this video is about how much worse can it get? This is a topic that I was thinking about not too long ago, and the answer is, I don't know. All I do know is that expect the worst, because I've learned, and I'm realizing every day that the absolute worst that you can think of, there's probably something 10 times worse than that. Anything in the world that you can think of, be good or evil, it probably exists already. There's nothing new under the sun, as Ecclesiastes says. It's all vanity. It's all meaningless chasing after the wind. But how much worse can it get? This is a question that many people ask, and I think the answer to this question is usually what allows people's brains to just accept the state that they're in and the life that they're living. And I've never been one to be content, at least since I got out of high school. Even a little bit, like I think in my sophomore year of high school, I was never happy with the circumstances that I was given. So I've always tried to work to get out of them. But when I pursued the world and through my worldly and fleshly desires, I found that there was no end. It was never going to get better if I kept searching in this light. So I decided, I didn't decide, but there was moments in my life where I felt like there was intervention in some way, and then like just conversations from people I had where I realized I just needed to make a change. And however I need to make that change, the only way it'll be consistent is if I do it through Christ. So this is the most that I've studied. This is the most that I've learned in my entire life when it comes to the Bible. And I want to continue to stay through this path. I don't want to stop. So I pray to God that you continue to bless me with discernment and the desire to just go out there and do this learning, you know, through Bible study, through reading the Bible, through talking to people who also believe, and to talking to people who don't believe, and figuring out how, you know, why they're in the position they are in. But that's not really what this video is about. But I mean, it kind of serves as a bit of a segue to like that question of how much worse can it get. And I think the main answer is to lean on God when the times get hard. Even if you didn't start off with a belief in God and belief in a higher power. Because I refuse to believe that in this world there's so much evil that can exist. So much gruesome evil that destroys human beings and their hearts and the families that love the people. I refuse to believe that there's that much evil and there's not there's not a version of good that contends with that. I refuse to believe that it can get this bad, because right now it's bad. In 2026, May 1st, 2026, it's bad. And it's, God forbid, it might get worse. It's probably going to get worse. And people are already falling apart right now. I can't imagine what it's going to be like in 5 to 10 years from now, when the next generation is growing up and they're trying to figure it out. We even find with Gen Z. Gen Z is realizing like shit, like 2001 to 2005 is realizing like, damn, like maybe 2007, 2006, I would say 2001 to like 2006. Gen Z is like, this shit sucks. Like, being an adult, this shit ass. Since COVID, this shit's been ass. But the reason why I say lean on God even when you don't believe is because that's why God exists. God exists for the brokenhearted, for the people who feel like they're nothing and who are at their end, who feel like they're at rock bottom. God is meant to help you get out of that. God doesn't exist God doesn't even exist for the people who are already righteous. God doesn't exist for the righteous. God doesn't exist for the rich or the wealthy or the elites. God exists for the brokenhearted, for the meek. Because you've been through something, you've struggled through something, and once you realize that there's only one creator and one person that you need to abide by and abide within, you will be given and granted all of the power that you could have ever dreamed of. And then some. So when I say how much worse can it get, it's gonna get worse. And the only way that you're gonna be able to get through it is if you lean on God. And I pray for a time where we don't even need to say this anymore. Like, it just comes naturally. Like, you already know, like, God will do this for me. God will bring me out of this hellhole. Just like he brought the Israelites out of Egypt. And despite him doing that and taking his hand and walking them out of the land of Egypt and into the wilderness, despite that, they still didn't want to be in there. They didn't want to be there. They didn't want to leave. They didn't want to leave. They didn't want to go to Canaan. They didn't want to go to Mount Sinai. Is it Mount Sinai? I'm sorry, let me... Yeah. It's gonna get worse. You know, and like I said, God forbid, I don't want it to get worse, but I don't know what God's plan is and what he's going to decide to do and when he's going to decide to do it. I don't know when God is going to decide to do this, but I know that we just need to be patient. And while we're being patient, it's probably going to get way worse. So if you're somebody who grew up in poverty and struggle, and you had family who struggled with mental illness or diseases or whatever the case is, and you feel like you have nobody, remember that God is with you at all times. He's always within you. When you're at your lowest, when you're doing your wicked sin, when you're sinning, when you have your wicked desires, and when you are, at your highest, and when you're feeling the best about yourself, God is always within you. So even if you don't believe, I pray one day you will.